Welcome back to Power Tips, our very last recording of 2022. And we thought we would spend some time today looking back on everything that we've covered since 2022. As you know, Power Tips launched in April, so we've only been around a little bit, but we thought we would dive in and do a real quick recap on everything that we've talked about so far, maybe highlight some of our favorite things. Would one of you like to chat about our dynamics for sales?
My 2 cents on the matter is I maintain my excitement about the whole conversational intelligence pieces and the AI pieces. They just keep pushing further and further, which is amazing. And that whole forecasting thing, we've looked at that even since not with this group, but I've looked at it further with some other groups that we've been working on it with. And it's the more you know about it and the more functional, I guess, especially the predictive stuff is it's mind blowing and really positions companies, I think, in a strategic way to look at what's coming, look at what's likely to happen, and I think that's really important for businesses to keep in mind.
I agree. The enhancements in that area are really cool. I
Hmm.
was really excited, and our first episode we ever did was about dynamics for sales, and I was very excited then about Deal Manager. I still am, but I have never implemented it for a customer. Have either of you? It's so cool though. One of these days. Kylie, do you have any thoughts to share about the dynamics for sales updates we covered?
Yeah, I really like all of the Teams updates, which is kind of, part of the conversational insights, but chatting right within Dynamics and sharing records to Teams and kind of all of that automation, as well as the automatic Teams, your Teams integration and the automatic conversation overview, conversation summary, that's what it's called. I think that is super cool, and it'll be interesting to see how we can use that in real life.
Totally agree. So let's shift a little bit and let's talk about customer service because we covered a lot of cool things in customer
Hmm.
service. We had some updates and SLAs that came through. I know I was excited about those because I've been implementing SLAs on a project I was on. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be as excited. There was some cool knowledge management and integration things, and a lot of the team stuff that we were talking about there. So, any highlights for you, Kylie, and customer service?
Yeah, I think the team stuff that I just talked about that I think is in both sales and customer service is cool. But also the AI insights to find the best people to reach out to about a case, finding our related cases, like that stuff is really interesting. What about you, Malcolm?
Well, it's funny, we didn't talk about it, but on the same train of thought that you're reviewing is they've come out with swarming since we talked about this. So I think if we
Mhm.
resurface this, probably a 2023 thing, to hone in on that, because that's exactly it, right? Finding the right people, getting hey, I don't know what to do. I need some insight from my colleagues on this, and it pulls together everybody. That some really cool features and functions. So neat to see, like, just since we talked about it, and we talk about this all the time. We just talked about this thing, and here we are just a short time later and it's way better, or there's a whole new set of features around it that are
Mhm.
supporting and standing it up, which is super cool.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, moving on to marketing. Wow, do you see a theme here? There's some AI stuff that rolled out in marketing and some Teams integration. So I think we all can agree that those are the two really big themes we've seen in Dynamics 365 first party apps as well as Power Apps in 2022. But this one was around like real time marketing. I know Malcolm walked us through that. The natural language capabilities in customer journeys, the ability to call Power Automate flows in a journey, the chat integration that we've already talked about, creating segments with natural language and no code dynamic content in email design editor. Lots of cool things. What are your
Hmm.
highlights, Malcolm?
I love them all, but the natural language stuff is top of mind for me because it's not just in marketing, it's across the board. We didn't talk a lot about Power BI, but I've been playing around a little bit in there, and it's fascinating. And I think that it's an under, what do they say when something's
Underutilized.
underutilized or
Underappreciated.
underrated, yeah, underappreciated, tool, because it really, like, we talk a lot about tools being in the hands of the users and what are the users going to do, and they're using natural language. They don't know the technical components of how to build a flow or how to build a customer journey. They just want to be able to say, I want it to do this, and if it can pick that up and start to at least get them 80% of the way, that's amazing. So that natural language piece to me is a big, but again, I love all of them because these are all huge, huge features and functions for anybody in the marketing space.
Yeah,
How
I
about you,
agree with
Kylie?
what you're saying, Malcolm. Anything that makes it easier for regular people to do their jobs and not need to call me, right? So
Right.
the other one on this list about the email designer, especially when we think back to our olden CRM days where we just had kind of the ugly editor and you had to be copying in your HTML and this whole thing to be able to make your emails look nice. And now, just with marketing, there's so many enhancements there just to make it easy for people and actually be able to send beautiful emails. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, super cool.
Awesome. All right, we spent a lot of time on Power Apps things. I think almost each one of these had its own episode that we dove in. So two big Power FX things, column calculations and Dataverse. We've got editable grids on subgrids. I implement that all the time now. I don't know about you guys. Love it. Co-presence and app sharing, Express Design and Canvas apps. We had a couple episodes about that, and modern advanced find. So all of these are awesome updates. I've implemented editable grids on subgrids more than anything we've covered in Power Tips this year. What do you guys think about these updates? Which ones stand out to you?
A silly one, our co-presence and app sharing. That
Me
episode
too.
includes how to turn back on the little share a link button. I mean, we love that. And I'm actually coming around to the modern advanced find. I think our first episode where we talked about it, we were like, what's happening? Don't turn
We
this
were not
on.
happy.
And now I'm like, oh, this is so lovely looking. So I'm a fan of that. What about you, Malcolm?
I was absent for a lot of these sessions in the middle of the year, but and I don't know if I was on the co-presence and app sharing, but that's one feature that has saved me twice now, where I've been in something working away and noticed the little indicator and pinged a colleague and been like, "Hey, I just noticed that you're in here too." And we were both getting ready to publish something, which we would have had problems because we had two different solutions working on different things, or same solutions, whatever it was. It just created the dialogue for us to know, like, okay, hold on, you're about to push that thing. Okay, let's be strategic about what you push. Let me know when it's pushed. I'll refresh so I have those, and then I'll push. And um, so that to me, that's a huge little thing that I don't think I even realized how big a deal it was until, especially as we get into some of the larger projects that we've had lately. We've got multiple resources working on different components. You got to be really, really smart when you do that, really strategic rather when you do that. And that little change has been important one to make sure that we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, it's really neat. I know on the Power FX for Dataverse episode, we talked about how the release notes talked about you could leverage Power FX in business rules. I'm still really excited to see what that looks like. I guess that's a 2023 episode for us.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, everything else that didn't fit into one of those things. We talked about Viva for Sales and Dynamics. I was a little salty that they were in the Dynamics 365 release notes as free features that everyone gets, and then it got changed to Viva for Sales. But it's still really cool if you have the right license for it. We highlighted some of the XRM toolbox tools that we liked. We talked about table relationships in Dataverse, approval templates, a little bit on training, how to turn on new features, the object classification model in the AI builder. I remember alpacas and goats and something else. And Power Automates describe it to design it. So we had a few videos on that. I don't know what you guys think, but my favorite things to talk about were the describe it to design it in Power Automate, maybe because that's fresh, and the Viva for Sales stuff. So those were my two favorite that we talked about here.
And you guys know I love AI Builder, and I've been doing some fun stuff with that this fall. And so I really like that object classification. That's using Lobe to create the AI model and import it into the Power Platform. I think that is so fun.
The
Malcolm?
XRM toolbox stuff, to me, that's one of those things. I know we talk in, when I talk to other solution architects and things, people know, but when you talk to a new admin or somebody who's relatively new to the system, it's always top of the list. Like, you have to know and understand what's available in that solution. And so that to me always stands out. Anytime it's on a list, it's a favorite feature because there's just so much. So if you're somebody who is like, well, I don't even know what that is, look it up. Play around with it, install it, and get used to it, because it will save you more time than you could even imagine, in terms of features and functions, that things you wish you could do that you just can't do. So
Totally agree. In fact, Dara Labar's XRM Toolbox tool of Attribute Manager saved me days of work. I had to update schema names for about 50 fields on a table. Do you know what that would have been like without the XRM toolbox? Attribute manager, if you ever need to do that, will take minutes. It's brilliant. Thank you,
Amazing.
Daryl. Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. That's exactly what we're talking about. It saves time.
Yeah.
And there's not enough time, as we all know. So
Never
good
enough
tool.
time. Channel your inner Jesse Spano. No.
What
Anyway,
about
yes.
what are some things we called them out? A couple items in here that we said, oh, maybe we'll talk about that in 2023. But is there anything that stands out on your radars? I have one, so I'm kind of leading a question here, but I'll open it up to you guys. Do you guys have any features that you've heard of or things that you've seen that you just haven't had a chance to mess around with that you want to play with in 2023?
A lot of
Well,
things we cover. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kylie.
well, first of all, I can't believe it's almost time for new release notes. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
the last ones just came out. But something looking at this slide, we talked about approval templates, and that was kind of a solution that we talked about it from our 50 tips in 50 minutes presentation. And so it was kind of like a custom solution that I've used with approvals. But now there's new an approval. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a thing you can download to help make your approvals easier. So I'm interested to play around with that and figure out what that looks like and kind of what enhancements there will be to that in the future, just to keep making our approvals easier to set up and manage and have more complex scenarios. Heidi?
Well, I don't want to steal like something Malcolm said earlier, but there's two things that I want to dive in more in 2023. One is Power BI, and Malcolm, are you going to talk about Power BI? Because I'll just
Well,
stop
I am,
right
but
now.
it's fine. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so Power BI, and Malcolm can talk more about it. And Power Pages, and spinning up portals. I've been working on one now where we're embedding some Power BI charts, and it's so cool. It's so cool. And then like just putting all the pieces together. Anyway, Power Pages is still like the new kid on the block, right? I'm still kind of learning it and what the difference is between Power Apps, portals, Power Pages, how they play nice together, how they don't play nice together. So I want to dive more into some of the new features that are coming with Power Pages.
And yeah, the Power BI piece, it was a specific feature that I heard about at a conference. Key Influencers is the name of the feature, not the conference. And so it's a tool that you basically throw a bunch of data in, and it starts to assess and analyze the relationship between the information and identify what is influencing things to happen. So, for example, opportunities by region based on salesperson, and it'll start to come up with things like, when you're selling this product in this region, there's a 2.8% increase in the revenue associated with that. Mm-hmm. Mind blowing, right? Like and it's analytics that you could probably do if you spent hours, if not days, of time doing the calculation and looking at the data. And it, like, much like the natural language stuff, you're just throwing the data in and it's doing the analytics in real time, and then all of a sudden it spits out this graphic and this report that says, here's the things I'm seeing. And I've been playing around with a little bit. It's not quite, I mean, it's amazing. I'm struggling a little bit with some of the sample data, so I think I need to put a larger sample set together. But the few things that I have seen to work, be like, hey, when this district manager is involved, the revenue's going up. And so that, to me, from a business intelligence perspective, what is that district manager doing? How do they go about their business? What products are they selling? What are they doing? All the questions that come up from that one simple metric, to me, is like, that's game changing for an organization to be able to hone in on trends that are right in front of them that they probably don't see. Right?
It's my favorite thing in Power BI that I've discovered so far. And I'm still an utter beginner, but Key Influencers is my favorite. I like to just throw all the data points in there and just see what it says and then remove the ones that don't make sense. But I found, like you're saying, the people piece is really cool, but also shows like seasonality trends that you might not be aware of. Like, oh, on the 1st to the 7th of the month, you sell 50% more products than on the 7th to the 14th. Cool.
Yeah, that's huge information to know, like, for an organization. So to me, it's mind blowing. So that's an area that I'd love to dig into even deeper in 2023.
I like it.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us this year on Power Tips. We've really loved to have you here and love to share what we've been learning with you guys. So please let us know down in the comments which of these features were your favorite, which features you want us to talk about next year, and Happy New Year, happy holidays.
I hope
next
YouTube
year.
never puts a
Learning,
comment. I hope YouTube never puts a comment over there or up there.
Right.
Because
I've
then all the
been doing
videos
this.
that do that are like. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Thanks.